Hey, this is Ryan Jones from Serverless Guru. In this video, I'm going to be talking about what is Serverless Guru, what do we actually do, in case you're seeing us from Medium, from our articles that we're releasing publicly for free, or our training site at training.serverlessguru.com, where we've released a few different courses, one specifically called Zero to Paid Professional, which actually has 90 plus courses for free that you can sign up and actually start interacting with no charges or anything like that. Just create an account, use it, give us some feedback on it, we'll improve it over time. And we'll keep going from there on that. And then we also have templates and documentation that we release publicly for free that has things about serverless framework, things about AWS SAM, CloudFormation, and so on. We're constantly giving talks in the Portland area as well as at different virtual meetups. We have two podcasts, one called Serverless Economics and one called Talking Serverless, which you can see on different various sites. I'll show you some of that as we get going. And then as well, we'll look into some of the stuff behind Serverless Guru about what the day-to-day looks like for the company. So on that note, let's go ahead and take a look at it. I'm going to transition over real quick. So we can see here on the serverless.com, serverlessguru.com website here, as you can see the Serverless Guru logo. We kind of initially created this based on, just trying to capture this idea of like serverless plus guru. And so on your left side, you can see like a lightning bolt, which kind of has been typically referred to as like this serverless logo in a lot of things. It's kind of like a lightning bolt coming from the cloud, right? And then on the right side you have, or his left side, you end up having a Lambda symbol, which is for AWS Lambda, which is one of the first cloud functions coming from any cloud provider specifically. So we've got that there. This logo's been updated over time, but right now that's what that looks like. And then you can see the Serverless Inc. logo here. We are a partner with Serverless.com and Serverless Inc. that creates Serverless Framework and Serverless Framework Pro. You can see here on the partners website for Serverless.com that we've got Serverless Guru here from Portland, Oregon. And then we've got a little description here. It says, Serverless and cloud-native event-driven development experts. They were founded on the notion that serverless technologies and innovations will become the base of the software industry for the next 5 to 10 years. They believe that everything that can be automated effectively should be automated, and that leveraging fully managed solutions will be the only way that software development is done at scale in the future. And so, I of course wrote that. I feel very passionately about that. When I think that when anything like this comes up, my number one thing for Serverless Guru is that I feel that, we are the strongest consulting company around serverless. I think that, Serverless Guru was built. I was born in serverless, right? As the saying goes. Some people were born in the cloud. I was definitely born in the cloud, but I was also born into serverless. A few months after starting programming, I was actually building Alexa skills and starting to do that. And I ended up making a startup about towards the end of 2017, where I actually started building DynamoDB, similar to Dynobase. I started building something like that back in 2017. And it didn't end up carrying through with it because I got hired at Nike as an application engineer for working specifically with serverless. And so from then on, I've been working very heavily in serverless, and I've been doing consulting for the past year and a half or 2 years. Based on the back of that, Serverless Guru was founded. And since then, we've grown to have an international team, international clients, partnerships around the world, and we're slowly starting to grow and scale out. So it's pretty exciting. Down here, you can see a couple of core things that we have. We have serverless consulting, serverless training, serverless migrations. And then we also have this idea that we can help you build anything with serverless. We can help you migrate with serverless, and we can of course help you train your team on serverless best practices. And so there's kind of a spectrum. And so what Serverless Guru does in a unique way, based on our experience doing this for clients for the past few years, is that we'll understand your unique context, and then based on that, we'll develop a plan that we've had work for other clients. So you already know going in that what we're recommending to you, we know it will work because we've done it before. We've seen it work on other clients, and some of the work that we've done in the past and the learnings that we got from that, we can apply to your project immediately. And so you're getting, it may take us an hour to do something, but that's because it took us 80 hours, and then it took us 40 hours, and then it took us 20 hours over the past 2 years to develop that process and build out these patterns and build out that expertise. And so now we're in a very unique position as a consulting company to offer unique value to our clients because we have that deep knowledge. And so I'll get into that in a little bit. Around services, we have three different kinds of core tiers here. One of them is development. So, we used to offer, and we still do offer front end, back end, and full stack cloud developers that specialize in serverless development. And so, for instance, what this might look like in our kind of updated model is that when we do a migration for a client, we'll actually do the high level consulting, planning, we'll help the leadership understand what they need to be implementing, and we'll kind of facilitate all the different things that need to happen to make the initiative go forward, right, and be a success. One part of that is that if the client doesn't want to use their own team to actually do that implementation, we'll do that as well. And this a lot of times is around serverless migrations. So if they want to say, hey, Ryan, we've got all this stuff that we need to migrate over. We've got hundreds of Lambda functions, and none of them have an ISC provider. Then we would go, okay, well, let us. You have two options, right? We'll do an initial plan. We'll help put together a proposal and all this stuff that basically says, after this initial engagement, we'll give you a document and all these details about how you can do the migration, all these things. And then once they review that, it's basically their choice, right? That we give that choice to the client. We don't say you're locked in. We don't say anything like that. We say, it's your choice. You can use your team. You can use our team. We're here to provide value every single second. So when we first initially get that initial contract, that's all we're doing is we're basically planning out a migration. Whether we're going to do it, whether somebody else is going to do it, it doesn't matter, because what we're doing is we're trying to provide the best possible migration path that we can. And then based on that, ideally, they're going to be able to see that obviously there's a chance that we can do it faster, or you can go the slower route. I actually wrote an article about this. I can show that in a minute as well, where I kind of talk about the case for serverless and hiring serverless consultants, where I kind of go into like the idea of slow and fast, right? You can do things slow, and there are benefits to that, building up internal expertise. The problem is that, somebody could leave the company, and with that, if they don't have the proper documentation, if that's not really the core part of their job. For us, the core part of our job is to make sure that any knowledge that's in our brain comes back to the client 100%, right? Like every single second that we're working with the client is working to eliminate our job, right? We're trying to provide so much value that it's eliminating the reason that you hired us to begin with. Because then the idea there is that when they start moving faster, when the client starts moving faster, they're going to rely on us to do more and more things that may not be this thing that they had us hired to do. And I feel like that's a very common problem with consulting companies, is they'll kind of drag their feet a little bit, and they'll say, okay, well, you hired us to do this, so we're going to spend as much time as possible. We're going to try to maximize the amount of hours that we get around it. For Serverless Guru, you go, you know what? You want us to do this thing. You want us to build this VPC. You want us to do all this automation, CI/CD pipelines, all that stuff. Fine, we can do that. We can do that in 10 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours, 40 hours, right? We're not going to say 160, 320, 640. We're not going to give you some crazy scope that doesn't make sense. We're going to do it based on what you're asking for. And you can say it to us if you have a budget that's not in the hundreds of thousands, and that just means that the quality of the work that we're going to do is going to be a little bit less. But we're going to adjust it based on what you need, right? So like if somebody asks me, hey Ryan, how do I build an API? I only got an hour. Right? How do I build this API? I'm going to send you documentation. I'm going to send you links, right? Am I going to build it out myself? Probably not. If you're going to say, okay, I've got 10, 20 hours, then it becomes, okay, well, I might build a demo project. Then I've got 40, 80 hours. Okay, maybe I might migrate it for you, right? And so I think it scales up based on that. And that's what you can get with Serverless Guru. We're not going to give you the 40 to 80 hour plan or that type of thing when you're asking for something that we can do in a smaller scale. It's like we'll be able to tell you that. And we've even told clients before is that we're not the right fit, and also maybe you shouldn't be doing serverless. Like those are real feedback that we give to clients every single day that I feel like is a very unique about Serverless Guru, because what we're doing is we're trying to build this kind of serverless frontier, and we're trying to be on that front line building out this future. And to be honest, it's it's a maturing product, and it's a maturing service with serverless specifically, in the different suite of things that are underneath that umbrella. And a lot of times it doesn't meet the exact use case. And so we're not going to lie to you. We're going to tell you, straight up, you might want to just go with Elastic Beanstalk for this, right? You may not want to use S3 static hosting. You may want to use something different. You may not want to try to achieve your SEO by using a Lambda function that returns back things that you then have to manage all these different complex parts. You may just want to run a web server, right? So like, what scale are you at? What's the context? Are you in production? Are you in development? What does it look like? And then based on that, we'll give you an idea for what you can do. And I think that that's a very unique aspect of Serverless Guru, is that we will turn away work that doesn't make sense to us. Consulting wise, that's part of the consulting, being able to tell you the direction of what you should be working on. We started working with startups. Personally, I've worked with multiple billion-dollar companies as a consultant, and we've kind of grown with Serverless Guru as well. And now we're working with larger clients and mid-sized clients that have 10 developers, upwards of 20, 30 developers in multiple different countries that we're having to manage all these different communication aspects. And we're building out all of these different patterns and use cases and all these things that specifically meet a need that client has and that the development team has, as well as providing support and all these things to that team. And so those are all different aspects that we can kind of tackle. The training side specifically, this could be doing remote training around, specifically that's something that we learned at Serverless Guru, and this is the one of the big things behind Serverless Guru is continuous improvement, right? So constantly improving every single day. So like the way that this video looks, the way that this website looks, the way that this webcam looks, the way that the whole thing is being recorded, it's going to continuously be improved. So you may be watching it now. Today is like, let's see, May 18th of 2020. By April, sorry, by April, that's already passed. By June, by July, by November of 2020, by 2021, January, February, March, constantly we're going to be improving each one of our processes, and you're going to see that. You're going to see it reflected in our serverlessguru.com website. You're going to see it reflected in our YouTube videos, in our articles, how we communicate, how we do client engagements. Everything is going to be consistently improving without any stop, right? There's no end game of this is how things are done. We may continuously improve up to a point where we're matching line for line with other really top consulting companies around the world, but we're not going to stop there. We're going to continue to move past them, because that's not what it's. Every single day is about showing up and getting better, and as we continue to do that, our results are going to be better, and everything else is going to follow suit. So with the training side, what we learned is that you can do a training which is like a general training, which is like, I can teach you how to use serverless framework. We have a course, as I said, 0 to Paid Professional on the Serverless Guru training site. Let me actually show you that. So this is training.serverlessguru.com. If you go to all courses, you can see the Serverless 0 to Paid Professional course. It's got 94 lessons. I wrote this, filmed it, edited, did all the different aspects of it. I wrote a course plan for it. You can see that I go through how to build, create, read, update, delete, Lambda functions, IAM policies, API gateway, API testing. We go over a CRUD recap here, serverless framework setup, getting started here with all the different things, talk about dynamic variables, monitoring, deployments, removing of stacks, CloudFormation additions, serverless framework enterprise, which has now been changed to serverless framework pro, as well as getting into a deep dive into serverless framework, where we get into custom variables, environment variables, deploying only functions, DynamoDB, API gateway, IAM. By the end of this section, by going through these 14 sections, you should be able to write serverless applications, backend APIs, Lambda functions with Node.js. You should be able to understand how CloudFormation works together to be able to deploy these applications. And so that's what I can show you how to do this, right? Serverless Guru can give you training similar to this. But what we've learned is the most effective training for our clients is to first understand the context, understand what services they actually use, understand, are they using Python or Node.js? If it's Python, this course is about Node.js, but if it's specifically about Python, we'll develop something specifically with Python. We'll even use your code to work it into an example, a pattern that then can be copied and multiplied, right? Because if you're saying, I've got 100 things that I need to build 100 services, right? Okay, well, we've got a couple different paths there. It's like, we can do it, it'll be done faster, or you can do it and we can build a pattern and we can do training on how to actually do it, right? Those are the two different ways that we're going to go about it. And to be honest, that's a way for us to maximize our impact, and that's what it's about, right? It's like, if you need to get something done in the X amount of time, and you also need every single person in your team to understand it, and you need them to actually build it, yeah, we can give you the tools to do that, and we'll move forward from there. So moving back to the site here, that's the training side. That's what we learned, is that we can do a generic training on serverless framework or serverless application development. However, if it's related to specifically your context, the people in your company are going to retain that a lot more, and we're going to be able to do a lot more things with that. Moving to case studies here, we've got a couple interesting case studies. So we had one with migrating 3 billion requests per month to serverless. So what this kind of looked like is we had a client who was trying to migrate a lot of different invocations per month as it says here, 3 billion per month, and they were trying to move that to serverless framework. And so we actually helped them do that. We built out the patterns for them. We did the training. We did the support for 20 plus developers. We actually helped them move each one of these services, even taking these services and ownership ourselves and actually moving that as like a service blueprint, and then doing training again off of that and creating tons of videos and all this stuff around how that actually works. And that was a really successful engagement. And that was a really big impact that we made. The developer velocity and all the different aspects there were immense. Then the other project that we've done before is we built tooling specifically that saved $2.25 million for a client on AWS, right? So we had a client that had a black box servers. They were operating on AWS. They had a team of people that were managing these servers. The people that actually built them had left the company since then, and so there was a whole bunch of technical debt. And so, we were hired to basically come in and help build out automation and tooling to allow them to kind of start eliminating these black boxes, labeling them, understanding them, and then slowly getting rid of them and moving what they can to containers and a new service that was being developed at the company. And so that project ended up saving, this is an aggregate over 5 years, 2.25 million. There's about 300, 400,000 per year in cost savings on one single AWS account. And so based on that was a really big impact that we had on a pretty large scale company. And it can be repeated. And that's a way, if you're listening to this and you don't need serverless application development, and really what you need right now is cost optimization with the current climate, we've got expertise in that. Specifically, I have a lot of expertise in that, but so does the rest of our team. And we actually have tools internally at Serverless Guru that aren't public yet that actually help with cost savings. Building a 100% serverless platform. This was a great project. This was one of the flagship clients for Serverless Guru when we started out, and it's been really great. We've had a really good relationship with Build Center specifically, and we've built a 100% serverless platform. And since then, it's been slowly growing. We've got a pretty complex architecture, lots of different stacks, Cognito triggers, AWS Cognito, SNS, SES, Lambda functions, tons of different stuff. So if we click into this, you can kind of see here a breakdown of this. So you can see we've got S3 static hosting, CloudFront HTTPS. This is a old architecture diagram, so please excuse me. We've got Cognito API gateway. We've got protected Lambdas. And then we also have S3 file storage and Aurora serverless. Yeah, I mean, there's things that we've learned a ton of stuff about how this works. I mean, if you want to see how we actually went about doing all these things, check this out. I give a big breakdown of a lot of different things in here. So a serverless application without backend code. So in this one specifically, let's go ahead and open it up. It says the client was looking to build an application which would have little to no operational overhead. The challenge, got that there. The solution, serverless framework for the IAC. Talk about GraphQL, AppSync, all these things. Why Serverless Guru, and so on. So the big thing there is that with this case study specifically was about AWS AppSync. So we talked about API gateway with Build Center up here. We talked about cost savings on AWS. We talked about moving to serverless framework. But when it actually comes to this one down here, this was about using AppSync and actually using VTL templates to basically map incoming API requests to the database directly without using any Lambda functions in between. And so we did that for part of it, but we also expanded that out because there's a lot of different services that are now hooked up as data sources for AWS AppSync. If you don't know, AWS AppSync is a fully managed GraphQL. We have some videos on our YouTube channel that you can check out. We also have articles and all that stuff about AWS AppSync as well. But that's been that's been a lot of client interactions that we've had, is helping clients build AWS AppSync APIs. Do understand not only how to build it, but actually how does your organization fit into it, right? How do 5 distributed teams with 5 different Bitbucket or GitHub repos, how do they fit into an AppSync API, and how do they all contribute to it, and how do you share things? And those are actually complex questions once you get past the hello world examples. And from there, you need people that actually understand how to actually implement those things. And luckily at Serverless Guru, we've been doing that for the past 6 to 12 months, and we actually have built up a lot of internal expertise in that specific area. So if you're looking at AWS AppSync and you just want to get evaluated of like, what do you need to do or what do you need to think about, we can give that to you pretty quickly. Migrating an on-prem 3-tier app to AWS. So this was a project where we actually helped move an on-premises application with the database, the web hosting, and also the backend over to AWS. We set up CI/CD pipelines, about, I think there was 13, and there was multiple branches that would trigger off of that. So it's 13 different microservices that all had their own CI/CD pipelines, which then also had custom automation there as well, and then would actually push up, I believe it would push up, yeah, so it would trigger off of GitHub. It would trigger, we actually use Google Cloud Build for that. So this is one of our hybrid cloud projects. We used AWS for the application hosting. We used Google Cloud for the CI/CD. At the time, Google Cloud CI/CD was pretty new, and it was awesome. And so you could do like very easy steps. So we had a very easy CI/CD process that we set up. Since then, with the new features that have been coming out from different providers, we probably would use something else in this case. But in this specifically, they're using a Java Spring server. So if you have Java Spring work, I know I talked about Python, Node.js, all these different things, but this specifically was Elastic Beanstalk. It was microservices. It had a Google Cloud build or Google Cloud element, had an AWS element, had Elastic Beanstalk, had Java Spring, Spring Boot, had Elastic load balancers, had tons of VPC security groups and different things like that set up. And so that was a really big project as well. Here we've got increasing event attendees with a Facebook chatbot. This was a 100% serverless chatbot. This was actually built back maybe 2.5 years ago. And so this was built specifically for Portland Community College here in Portland. And what it did is it was a chatbot that allowed people at the job fair to be able to get information in real time, and it was awesome. I actually helped build the entire thing, and what I can say about it is that the backend code for it was really inspiring, because it made me go like, wow, this could be a platform in itself. Since then, we've seen a lot of platforms pop up around chatbots, and so this one was a really cool one. This was one of my first clients that I had for Serverless Guru. This was before there was a team of people that were actually supporting Serverless Guru, and since then, you can kind of see as things have grown and scaled out. We went from having a one-person chatbot type thing that had very limited usage, but was actually a really cool project in my opinion, up to having, migrating 3 billion requests per month and working for enterprise. So Serverless Guru has come a long way, and we still have a lot more to go, but it's very cool to see that. Let's go ahead and jump to the partners page real quick. For partners, Serverless Framework, this would be our number one partner here that we work with. We love making Serverless Framework content, videos, training courses, all these things. Personally, I started my career working with Serverless Framework while I was at Nike, and a little bit before that when I was still growing as a developer. Since then, I've been using it almost primarily, right? So I still understand how to use AWS SAM and CloudFormation and the different deployment frameworks. However, I do still prefer Serverless Framework when I'm actually writing this stuff, and that's because I've had to go the opposite way. I've had to use AWS SAM. I've had to use CloudFormation by itself. And what it always comes down to is that there's an open source element to Serverless Framework, and based on that, I get a lot more usage and runway with Serverless Framework, where I might have to do a lot more heavy lifting on my end if I was using AWS SAM or CloudFormation directly. And it's much easier from experience training people with Serverless Framework than training people directly with CloudFormation. Even though at some point you do have to understand both, there is that line that kind of like at some point you get past your simple hello world use case and you need to actually understand what the hell is going on, and that's where having that CloudFormation expertise still will come into play. But what I'll say is that it's much faster to build things with Serverless Framework and much less code than it would be with AWS SAM or CloudFormation. If you're curious about that, we actually wrote an article on that. We did a talk at Stackery specifically on deployment frameworks. I wrote a whole series actually on our Medium page, which I can show you as well. So on our Medium page, this is our serverless blog. We also have a Medium page called serverless. Here, I can pull that up. Here we go. So medium.com/serverless guru. So on this, you can actually scroll through and you can see some stuff about things that we've done. I wrote a series of articles on serverless migration. I can see if I can find it in here. Here we go. So this one here is called Serverless Migration, Choosing a Deployment Framework. So this was a multi-part series. There was part 1, which was review your existing application. Part 2, break apart your application. Part 3, lift and shift. 4 was choose a deployment framework. And then part 5, build a strong foundation. That one's TBD, still needs to be written. No timeline on that. And so yeah, so this is a very interesting series of articles that were based on the fact of just having to do serverless migrations for clients and understanding what that looks like. So if you're thinking about doing a serverless migration and you want to kind of vet, does Serverless Guru have expertise in what we're talking about? Check out the articles on our blog, check out the articles specifically about serverless migrations, read about it, and then schedule a call with us, and we'll go into already trying to give you an idea for what it would look like and what it would take based on your context. Other partners, we've got AWS partnership. We also have Google Cloud partnership. We were partnered with Pertigo. They were actually acquired, so this one is a little bit outdated, but we'll update that. We're also working on a few more partnerships with different observability companies and deployment frameworks and general cloud providers and people that are in the industry that are starting to build new products. And the big thing there is that we want to have an impact with the best things that we can offer to our clients, right? So we want to make sure that we're offering the best tool for the job and not just the tool. Like all the things that I'm recommending here, like when I say serverless framework, I don't make a commission on that. Like if I recommend somebody to use Serverless Framework Pro, which is a new offering by Serverless Inc., I don't make a commission. Serverless Guru doesn't make a commission on that. We literally believe it's the best solution for specifically working with the serverless framework to make serverless applications. So if you're using serverless framework, you should be using Serverless Framework Pro. And that's the opinion about seeing all the gaps that pop up and then trying to address those. That's a very easy CI/CD pipeline worked into it as well. This is not going to be a video about this, but we actually wrote an article on that. So if you go to our Medium here, you can read supercharging your deployment or your development workflow with Serverless Framework Pro. This article was written specifically around the offering that Serverless Inc. has when you're working with the serverless framework and allowing you to communicate between your stacks and use parameters and all these things. And it really helps speed up development. And we've seen that with multiple clients. Of course, if you're interested, you can, of course, reach out to us. We've got a team page here with some information about the people that are actually in the company, some more about what our mission was. It's kind of interesting for me to read because I wrote this a long time ago. Mission is educate companies and developers on new technologies which can have dramatic impacts on day-to-day operations. Help grow talent within existing organizations through comprehensive training on new emerging technologies. So that was the mission. I think I wrote this probably 2.5 years ago. Plan, build an arsenal of content, help people achieve project or career aspirations, provide organizations of all sizes with the tools necessary to be successful in the cloud native space. And so that's really interesting because we really have built an arsenal of content and we really have helped a lot of people. And we've also helped a lot of organizations. So it's cool to see that we're kind of executing on that. For vision, modern development can be overly complex in areas that don't truly matter to a company's bottom line. We want to change, abstract, or purge the non-performant processes to accelerate innovation. We believe things can always be improved. And that kind of goes back to the idea of continuous improvement. A lot of things that I've talked about very centered around that idea, quote unquote, our vision for Serverless Guru. If you're interested in reaching out to us, definitely hit us up. We've got a contact page. We also have specific contact pages for our services, right? So we talked about a few different ones. Let me go into detail on each one of these. So we have consulting, we have stack augmentation, we have support, we have training. So consulting, this is like, we're going to help you with the migration. Staff augmentation, we're going to help you in the back end or the front end. We're going to help you in full stack cloud development. You want us to get on your team, take Jira tickets, do all that stuff, we can do that too. Support, this is more like you're in the middle of migration. Maybe you don't want us to do it, but maybe you want to do it yourself. Maybe you want us to do it, but then you also want us to provide ongoing support around your serverless migration. Or it's not serverless migration, your team's already in production. You just want somebody that has a team of experts that can answer your questions very fast or build workarounds very fast. That's where we have the support side. Training side goes into that as well. Training would be understanding your context, building out training sessions, giving that to you, understanding what it looks like within your specific services and application, constructing and making a tailor-made training course for that specifically for your company, and then actually doing those sessions with your team. And then in here, you can find a little bit more information about each one of these. So why we're doing it, why is it good for you, why would it be worth it? So let's actually talk about this one only. And then we, of course, have a contact form here. So why are we doing it? developing serverless applications can be tricky. As your use case grows, the complexity of your applications grows. The need for serverless consultants is paramount to ensure the entire organization is well supported. Why is this good for you? Your company will have direct access to our team of serverless consulting experts who are actively working as top grade serverless consultants around the globe for major brands. Why would this be worth it? Simple math. Serverless is the Wild West. It's getting better, but it's moving at an exponential rate. If a developer hits an issue that causes them 6 hours to resolve at a rate of $50 to $80 an hour for US rates, your company is losing $300 to $480 on each occurrence. If a developer makes a wrong serverless choice, not knowing the full scope of limitations, the downstream cost, it can be exponential. In some cases, we've seen 2+ weeks of development be thrown away, meaning at a minimum $4,000 to $6,400 your company is losing on a single developer. Mistakes happen. I'm a developer. I've been learning serverless for a long time. I've made a series of mistakes over the past 2 years, building out architectures, recommending things, and slowly I've gotten better and better and better. So now I'm working with a lot of context. The entire team at Serverless Guru has 3-4 years plus of serverless expertise where they've made similar mistakes and they've learned from those mistakes. And now we're all keeping that culture, that vision of continuous improvement. So when you work with us, we're coming from a whole bunch of bodies that have happened in the past, and now we can tell you, don't do this, do this. And because of that, you end up getting this really big cost savings that's hard to calculate, but you end up getting it because, like it says here, if you send us a message, if you're paying for a Serverless Guru support, and you send us a message, and your developer is saying, hey Ryan, hey somebody else at Serverless Guru, I'm hitting this issue, my application's not working properly, I try to make the deployment, it's failing out, I can't find anything in the GitHub issues. We'll go, a lot of times we actually have like kind of a I'll say Rolodex, but I think that's very outdated, but I'll say we have a whole Rolodex of different problems that we've run into in the past, and we'll be able to find that and pull it up and be able to tell you how to fix it. And that's just something that we've built internally at Serverless Guru. The other side of it is that if you don't know how to go past it, we might have like 5-10 different ways to build workarounds, because we've had to do that for the past 2+ years. So if you say, hey, this thing is running in the wrong order and it's not supported by CloudFormation, I'll go, hey, use a plugin, hey, use a post-deployment script, hey, use something else. And based on those things, I'll actually give you examples where we actually have templates and patterns for how to actually implement those things. And if you're paying for our support, that's it. I'll just hand it to your developer. They can go on their way. If it doesn't work, I'll get on a call. We'll get on a call with them, somebody from the Serverless Guru team. We'll work through exactly what they're hitting. And then based on that, they should be unblocked and we'll be able to just keep moving forward. So how does it work, right? So you fill out the form, you let us know what exactly your needs are, how big your team is, you in development, all these things, and what other notes do you have about the company, what type of application are you building, what are you really looking for in a long-term development partner or a short-term development partner, whatever that looks like for your specific company. And then once you fill that out, we'll schedule a call, we'll get more context, we'll answer a lot of questions that you have initially, and then based on that, we'll probably send you a proposal, and then if the proposal makes sense, we'll move forward and we'll start working on it. That's pretty much very simple process. There's not a lot of overhead here. After that first initial call, there's no implications that you have to do anything with us. I mean, literally, you can get us on a call. We'll explain, potentially what you need to do, and then based on that, make your choice whether you want to do it yourself or whether you want to hire us to do it or hire somebody else. It's totally fine. So it's a zero risk overhead phone call for context, right? Like, I love talking about it. The people at Serverless Guru love talking about it. So truthfully, we're always excited to hear about new people that are getting into the space and companies that are taking that serverless plunge. And so for us, it gives us just the benefit of knowing that there's other companies out there that are doing it. So what are the benefits to you? Confidence that your serverless transformation will be a success. If you go with the fast option, the fast option is hiring Serverless Guru versus going alone, right? If you hire that option, not only will it be done faster, but also we can guarantee more success, right? We can guarantee a more successful serverless migration than if potentially we're going the slower route where either you, the company, was having your developers learn serverless, and or you hired us to basically do a initial training session, but then didn't have us follow up through the entire process, right? We can't really guarantee that the migration's going, or the serverless transformation is going to be a success. However, if we're actually working together on that and we're continuing to provide support and be there to assist leadership in direction as well as developers in the day-to-day operations, then we can be a lot more confident in that. So you can have confidence in that because we have confidence in that. Peace of mind knowing that you're not taking the sleep alone, right? So if we're there to support you. We're going to be able to provide that support. And I believe that those type of things that I'm talking about right now and my passion about this subject for me means that, the way that I look at this is that Serverless Guru is the top serverless consulting company. Whether or not that's shown on paper, it's another story. But the way that I feel about it, that's how I feel. Direct access to our team of expert serverless consultants with 20 plus years of combined serverless experience. It's based on the people that we have on our team, based on their backgrounds prior to Serverless Guru. We brought in the best of the best experts to Serverless Guru specifically to help in these areas. And then we've basically built out all these client projects over multiple years, and we've learned from each engagement how to do things a little bit more efficiently. So now if you're learning about Serverless Guru now, and you're learning about how to do you want to do a serverless migration, something like that, you're getting 2+ years of very hardened expertise about how to do these things for like no extra cost, right? You're just getting that. So that's good. Exponential savings as our team can make your team 3 to 5 times more productive. So what does that look like? Let's say that you hit a problem. Let's say that we unblock you, right? You have a problem. If you went through it yourself, we've done those problems before. It can be complex. It can take multiple hours. And then we tell you how to fix it because we've hit it before in multiple clients for multiple years. What that'll look like is we can then say in 5 minutes, we can say, hey, do this. That just saved 3+ hours, 4+ hours that your real dollars that you're paying that developer. Now they're unblocked. They're more in the flow state. They're able to keep working. They're able to keep building things out. Maybe before they work for 3 hours, they burn their whole brain out. Now they want to go take a break. That's an extra 15-30 minutes. Then there's like lunch after that. That's another hour. And then there's a meeting that pops up. And what you end up doing is you blow the entire day. Whereas you could have just had a support contract with Serverless Guru where we would have provided that serverless support to you, keep your developers moving and churning quickly, and make sure that the wheels are greased up so that they can actually move, right? You don't want to start causing friction, especially for developers. The second that there's friction, developer productivity falls off a cliff, and you don't want that. And so that's an option here with working with Serverless Guru. Okay. Awesome. So like I said, training.serverlessguru.com, serverlessguru.com if you want kind of a hub of all this information. The resources section here, we've got serverless templates. We've got the serverless documents here. These are public resources that you can click on. You can find out more about. In there, we've built up use cases specifically to serverless clients and people in the community that have asked for it. And we've actually shown them how to do that. And we've built entire projects and stuff around that. If you're interested in it, check those out. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this, if you want to hear more about what Serverless Guru is doing, how we actually provide for clients, and how we're building out new projects and new training material, definitely give us a like and subscribe to our channels. Follow us on the different social media platforms. And with that, I'll come to a close. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time. If you made it through all of this, definitely let me know on Twitter at RyanJonesIRL. This is kind of like my heart that I'm just like opening up right now. I think that it's amazing what Serverless Guru has done. I think that there's a bright future for serverless consulting and the serverless industry as a whole and the software development industry as a whole. And I feel like the way that we're becoming more productive and efficient and being able to build new cool things and lower that barrier of entry for people coming into the space is amazing. So on that note, I'll close it out. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.